What's up, fancy hairdressers? We're doing another free haircutting lesson for you today. We're going to do a combination of scissor and razor both, working stronger graduated shapes underneath and then softer layered stuff on the top. For no other reason besides it can be fun, and it is a cool way to show you how to combine tools and to not feel too boxed in. Like a lot of the time in the past I felt like, oh, it's a scissor cut, it's a razor cut, I'm doing one or the other. And a lot of time now I'm using 2, 3 tools on every single haircut that I do. So we're going to start off with very simple sectioning. Whoa! We're going to section out the top of this doll. It's just starting off in the crown area here. I'm going to comb this forward. And we're just going to take a section that is going to run the length of the parietal area, kind of a low horseshoe, we'll say. So from the center back all the way to the front corner. So we get a lot of weight in this section because I want to have enough here that I can let it like veil over anything that we're doing on the underneath. So I want to make sure that I've taken this low enough that the layer has enough weight in it. So if you have something that has a lot of short layers already, you definitely want to just check in your hand first, like hold this over your hand and see like, well, I'm going to bring this up here. Is this going to be enough to hang? You know, you need to have a vision for your end results before you even begin. So again, we're just combing this forward so it makes it easy to part, starting from the very center, come around to the front, and just connect that in. We'll just twist this once and flip it up. Okay, so we're going to start off with some graduation in the back. Always hard stuff to do, graduation, because it needs to be so specific. Like a lot of time with layers, and especially on long hair, anything goes really. You know, you can cut up here, falls, it shifts, it moves, you curl it, and then that doesn't matter. You know, but when you're doing short hair, it is a lot more important to be accurate, and it's a lot more difficult. So I think practicing shorter hair is something that a lot of hairdressers need to do a lot more. So what we're going to do now is we're splitting this way, and then I'm going to take one more section that is from the occipital to right behind the ear, and that's going to be our first panel to start the graduation. We'll do the same thing over here. Occipital to the mastoid. I don't like saying bones of the head. They sound dumb. You know, they sound smart, but it makes me feel dumb to say the mastoid. I don't know why. Because it's like, it's not helping you. If you didn't go to a very particular school, and I think you should know the bones of the head, it probably helps, you know. It's a good thing to know what you're doing. But if you didn't go somewhere that told you about the bones of the head, you don't know about the bones of the head. So if I say the mastoid, you gotta say, what's the mastoid? And I say right behind the ear. So if I just say right behind the ear, then you know what I'm talking about. So we're gonna go with right behind the ear for a while. And then we're gonna split this down the center again. We're not gonna do the outline first, we're gonna do the graduation first, and then we're gonna come back to do the outline later. So we're working vertical sections here, creating kind of a square graduation underneath. So our first section, if we look at it here from the side, we'll be able to see the angle that we're going to cut. So we're coming in, I'm going to put my fingers right behind the comb, and I'm coming out at a 45-degree angle. So I want to start really building this weight at the top. So we're longer at the top, working down shorter towards the nape of the neck. Just like that. We're going to have a traveling guide at first, because if we envision this, we want it to all come out completely square like that. So we're working, you know, using our previous section as a guide, but pulling this just flat, square back. So we'll get a little bit more weight here in the corner. So another vertical section. And if you guys have any questions, Emily will ask them and I will do my best to answer them.
Somebody wants to know where your tripod stand is from.
It's from Amazon. I'm not sure of the brand, but if you just put like, you know, hairdressing, practice, tripod or whatever into Amazon, you'll have a bunch of great options that come up that are very, very affordable. This one we've had for years and years. It's definitely starting to break down a little, but it's doing all right. So another vertical section here. And you should start to see this graduation happening right away. I mean, the first section alone, you don't need to do a bunch of sections to look for the shape. So watch, when we take this, we come out, and literally make this motion like a machine. You're coming in, fingers behind the comb, angled down to 45 degrees. right on the guide, and then we're going to cut longer at the top, down to shorter at the bottom. So fingers behind the comb, crank it out.
Are you bringing your section to the previous section?
Just to the previous, but not to the first section. So if you look, like here's my first section, I over-directed this only to the previous, and when we comb this out, we can start to see our graduation building here already. So that's what we want to see, that little bit of a build-up of weight that will taper in down there at the bottom. So another vertical section. Keeping that over-direction in mind. I don't want to walk this around right now because my intention is to keep a little weight in the corner. If I didn't care about that and I wanted a round shape, I could just keep walking around. You know, people think like round means it's shorter in the front, longer in the back, which is true for some interpretations of shape. But when I'm thinking round or square or triangular, I'm thinking about the expanded shape. Is it flat or is it round? Like, does it follow or is it over-directed in the corners? So we want to keep weight in the corner, so that's why we're working a bit square. So over-direct to my previous section, find my 45-degree angle, and then work longer at the top, down to shorter at the bottom. So again, angle, down. Exaggerate it, you know? Play with it. See what angles do what and what you end up liking. Because you might be like, oh, that's too steep of graduation. That's too shallow of graduation. And you can make those choices for yourself. So let's just take this whole section. Over-direct this back. Now
What
you
would
can really
you call this haircut?
I don't know. It's going to be like some scissor graduation, like square graduation underneath with sort of an A-line razor cut layer on the top.
Why graduation first and then the perimeter?
Well, I'm not like trying to work a very specific shape in the perimeter. I'm more concerned about this interior shape, and then I can come back and do whatever I want in the perimeter later. So you can see it sort of creates this perimeter a little bit for us, and I'm going to end up blow drying and refining the perimeter when I'm done. But you could decide to cut in the line, then cut the graduation. But sometimes you'll cut your line, you'll graduate, and you might go through the line, and then you've broken the line at the bottom. So I can cut the interior shape and then come back and sharpen that perimeter up a bit. So because we're doing vertical sections here, I could stand on the same side and just pull this way, which is what I'm going to do. But let's say your sections were slightly diagonal, you would need to work opposite finger angles. So let's see, I'll just come this way.
Do you have any tips on cross-checking or making sure that things are going well during the cut?
Yeah, absolutely. So what does cross-checking mean? It just means that we're going to take opposite sectioning, same elevation and angle. So let's cross-check this area just to show. So what we can do is, we took vertical sections to cut this. We're going to take horizontal sections. We know that we over-directed in the corner, so we should get slightly longer feeling in the corner. So we're going to pick this up here and come out. We're looking pretty good. With a cross-check, you can just clean things up a teeny bit, but you can see we have a pretty consistent line going on there. If you see a lot of hair to cut in your cross-check, then you want to go back and cut it the original way. But you can really see that our over-direction was very consistent, so we get this nice kind of clean line going.
Beautiful.
So like if we took diagonal sections, I probably would take opposite diagonals. Like if it was diagonal forward, I would take diagonal backs and cross-check that way. But because we took vertical, we're just going to take the cross angle of that, which is horizontal. So,
Ooh, what brand and size shears do you use?
I have my own brand of scissors. They're called Fancy. If we look close, I don't know if you can see that very well, but it says
Yep, there it is.
Fancy right in there. So that's the brand of scissors. We have a 5.5 inch, we have a 6 inch, we have a 7 inch, we have a texturizing scissor, and we have a razor. The razor is sold out at the moment, but it will be back in like a week or two, hopefully. And we have lefties in 6 inch. We will be coming out with lefties and everything, but you know why? Lefties, listen to me. The reason that we don't have lefty scissors for every size right now is because everybody begged for lefties in 6 inch. We made them, and they are crawling. Like, lefties say that they want scissors, but then they don't buy them. So I'm gonna make lefties and everything, but we're just not, running at the lefty scissors because I think a lot of lefties are using right-handed scissors maybe, I don't know. But we will accommodate, but it'll be a minute. All right, so vertical sections again. Just wanna make sure that my sections here are balanced. It was a little low on this side, or a little high, rather. a moment ago.
Sorry if we've already covered this, but why vertical over horizontal or diagonal?
Well, vertical sections for what I want is going to give me a little bit leaner graduation here. And when I want to work this square shape, it's just a really easy way to put that in. If I'm using diagonal sections, it's going to start pushing the weight in the direction of that diagonal. And when I'm doing vertical, I can just come right out square and very easily create the shape I want. Horizontal, you could do, but it's a lot more difficult to build horizontally than it is to build vertically. And it will generally get heavier and more like full when you do horizontal sections. It will create weight lines. But when we do a vertical section, it's going to be easier to get that gradual buildup of weight in a vertical way. So again, we're coming vertically here, fingers behind the comb, angle my fingers, over directing only to my previous section, coming down. So you come in, angle, and then it's longer at the top, shorter down towards the bottom. I'm trying to tuck these fingers in so y'all can see a little better. And then I'm combing it out and looking for that same curve and buildup of weight. Easy thing to think about with graduation, like, we say 45 degrees, this and that. It just means that it's longer at the top and shorter at the bottom. Like, that's really what the idea is. So even a one length is technically just the heaviest graduation you can make, because the longest hair comes from the top, right? A friend once told me that I was reaching Jedi level when I realized that moment. Okay, so we're combing, fingers behind the comb. Come right out to the guide. Keep your fingers very straight. Come in. I'm not cutting past my second knuckle because I am a lot less accurate past my second knuckle because it's harder to keep my fingers straight there and I have less tension there. And again, I'm like checking for that shape. I want to really see the shape. I've got two more here. Still thinking about our over direction being like square back, flat, like this. So we keep a teeny bit of weight here in the corner. So we'll come back. My fingers, took a little bit from the top there. We'll reorganize. Take a second to reorganize it. It's not a big deal. Then, again, fingers facing up. My comb goes in when I have that all good and combed out. I'll connect with my fingers, angle down. I can see my guide right in here. And then I'm going to continue longer at the top to shorter at the bottom. Angle and connect. So we're doing a lot of these free lives. But there is a little bit of a cost to us when we do the lives. Like this doll in particular is like a $90 doll or something like that. So if you guys want, hit badges on there, donate whatever you can, $1, $2, whatever you want to donate. Don't donate anything, that's fine too. I'm going to keep doing these lives. But the same thought is that we want to pay for the dolls with the badges. So feel free to donate something to help pay for the dolls, and I'll do more free education. And then if you're looking for more in-depth education, then you can go to our website and click the link in my bio. And for only $15 a month, you get access to an entire library of cut, color, and style videos. And you can cancel anytime. It doesn't charge you for the year or anything like that. So you could literally be a member for a month. You could share accounts with friends, whatever you want to do. All right, so let's take a look at the shape. You can see we get this really beautiful shape that just hugs to the shape of the neck, because we're over directing once we get to where the head starts to round out. So like here, we're pulling straight out. When we get here, we start to just over direct back. And you can see it gives a really nice, soft, curved, graduated shape there. Really beautiful. And then we can cross check here as well. Just horizontal sections.
Do you have any advice for people who have been out of the salon for COVID and are trying to get back into the field?
You were out of the salon for COVID for how long? For the entire pandemic?
Since before COVID. My apologies.
Oh, since before COVID. Okay. Practice. It is sort of like riding a bike, but then in ways it's not. It's like you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with education, with things that are trending, the language being used. Even though I hate, language in our industry, to me, is something that I really don't like. Because I think it complicates things, it overbrains things, it stresses me out. Everybody knows in our classes that I don't like that, the way that people harp on language in our industry so much. But, I think it is sort of important to at least know the phrases, because you're going to be asked them, your clients are going to say them. They're going to come in and say, I want a wolf cut, I want a curtain bang, I want this or that. And you got to know what that means so you can interpret it. Remember when I was in hair school, somebody came up to me and said, I want a pixie. And I didn't know, I'd never heard that before. Because I'm an idiot, I don't know. They said, I want a pixie, and I was like, what's that? And then immediately they had no confidence in me at all. And they should not have had any confidence. I didn't know what I was doing. So, know your language, stay current, stay interested and hungry. You know, you gotta be really practicing and staying on top of it. All right, so we're dropping our next panel here, and we're gonna continue our graduation to the side with the exact same method. So, we're gonna take vertical sections.
I'm showing them your body position. That was a question.
Oh, okay. So body position is, for this, I stand slightly off to the left on this side and slightly off to the right on that side. So you're standing away from your guide. So if my guide's coming from the right, I'm standing off to the side. My feet are one forward, one back, so that I can see my angles. If I'm like this, then it's a lot harder to do. If I'm like this, I can't cut it. But if I stand off to the side, then I can cut it a lot easier. So, what we're going to do now is, I have my guide from underneath here. I'm coming out. I'm going to match the angle at 45 degrees, and I'm going to cut down to my guide there at the bottom. My first section, I need to make sure that things are going the way I want, so I'm going to comb that out. And you can see right away, what do we get? We're getting a nice transition from the top down into the bottom. So let me just double check that one more time. You might have a little excess weight somewhere.
Does your elevation matter when you're cross-checking?
Yeah, you want to use same elevation, same opposite angle. So if you were at 45 degrees, you want to be at 45 for your cross-check. If you're at 90, you want to be at 90. Because you don't want to change it. You're just checking your consistency with the cross-check. So if I'm if I held it at 45 and I hold it at 90, I'm not checking anything. I'm changing it. So think about what was my elevation originally and keep that same elevation. Okay, so using my previous section as a guide here, come down to 45 degrees, look for my guides and my fingers, even tension, but not too tight of tension. We don't want to pull our client's scalp, but we do want to have consistent, even tension as we go. And again, I'm going to comb that out and see what we're getting. And we can take a look at the shape there. We're getting that nice, curved, graduated shape. That's exactly. Oh, there we go. We can start to really see the silhouette happening here from the side. With that curve and then tucked graduation there. All right, so again, vertical sections here. It's going to be very repetitive. A lot of verticals. And over-directing square. So not to the center, just flat, straight out. Straight back.
What makes the price of your shears different from brands like Hanzo?
Well, one thing that makes our scissor a lot more affordable than other brands is that we choose not to mark it up, right? So our scissor, if we were to compare this scissor to other brands, which we did when we were trying to create it, similar scissor with similar quality, metal, and craftsmanship would generally be around $300, $275, $300, and we just wanted it to be more affordable, so we decided to cut the markup. We're eating that markup for y'all. We're not making as much money so that we can pass those savings on to our customers so that we can have quality scissors that are affordable and available for hairdressers.
It says the sound is cutting out. Someone did. I don't know if that's... Yeah.
Sound is out again?
Multiple people say we're cutting out.
Just cutting in and out?
Mm-hmm.
Let's, are we on the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Let's come on. Our scissor is under $200. It normally would be $275, $300. Our scissors is $165 right now. We might have a little bit of an increase because of inflation and all that jazz, but we try to keep it under $200 just so it's a higher quality for a more affordable price. Still can't hear me?
Oh, someone said it's back, but a lot of people are telling us to exit and enter again.
But if we do that, you guys will lose the live. But
okay, someone said it's better.
All right, cool. So let's come to this side and we can show how this side's going to go. So we're still working vertical sections as we go, and we're going to start over-directing this side more, so we'll get a little bit more of an A-line feel on the side because our over-direction will increase. So we're pulling this back. I'm looking for my guides, there's my guide right in there. I can see it very clearly. Notice that I didn't go here's my guide, let me get it. I just am picking this section up, and it will pick my guide up at the same time. So we come back. I want to make sure I'm not over-directing too far.
How often do you sharpen your shears? I
sharpen my this particular scissor maybe 3 times a year, because the metal is a 440C. So it's a high quality metal, but there are definitely some more expensive metals that we could do. But again, we were trying to create the highest quality we could while keeping the scissor very, very affordable and under $200. So it usually needs to be sharpened for the amount of hair that I cut, the amount of dry cutting that I do, like once every 4 months or so. But some scissors I sharpen, very seldomly. Alright, so here's our next section, vertical, drawing this back. So it's just all straight back, flat to the back corner. We're going to overdirect back and then find our angle, 45 degrees, match to what we have underneath here. Keep coming down, match to that angle.
Do you cut wet and dry with the same shears?
I do, but I am considering coming out with a dry cutting fancy scissor for more like carving and slicing and stuff like that. But I do think that you're able to do almost everything with one scissor. I mostly use a 6-inch. Sometimes I use a 5.5 for fine detail, and I very seldomly use the 7, but I just think it can be fun sometimes to play with a big scissor. But all right, so we might get a little bit of a jump here.
Someone says, how do you know when to start over-directing?
Well, what I've done here is once I've gotten to the corner, that's when I'm over-directing. But really, you start over-directing whenever you want to start saving length and weight. Because over-direction is going to keep length and weight the opposite direction that you hold the hair. So if I'm pulling back like this, then I know that we're going to keep length in the front like that, right?
Perfect. Ben would like to know if this haircut is a good idea.
Depends, because it's a graduated bob, and not a lot of people are asking for very stacked bobs right now. But if you want to know more about things that are good or bad ideas, you could listen to me and Ben on our podcast. It comes out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. New episodes every Sunday. It's called This Is a Bad Idea. It's all your hair-related comedy, current events, and just a bunch of nonsense that Ben and I talk about. So search This Is a Bad Idea on Instagram and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can follow us at the acronym for that, TIABI podcast. This Is a Bad Idea. Ben's at home right now. He's sick, just like everybody. So I'm combing this back, over direct, make sure my tension is clean and even, find my angles, and then connect. So we're going to get sort of like a little A-line bob situation happening here.
What about TikTok?
You can follow us on TikTok at the Follicle Brothers. No, you're not. You can follow us at Fancy Hairdressers on TikTok if you want to. We just got on TikTok kind of recently. We have like 53,000 people on there now. So I want to make sure this is all good and combed out. It needs to be, very, very well organized here. So we're going to do something weird to get it combed out a little bit better. This is like getting tangly. So over direct back, look for my guides there, and we're just going to connect in this last little bit of a corner. I'm kind of like combing it up over the ear. I'd rather save that length there and come back and connect it later than get a hole. So when we comb this out, let's see what we get. We get an A-line graduated shape.
Would you do this on someone with curly hair?
Sure. I think graduation can be beautiful on curly hair. You just have to think about how their hair will change, and how their hair might shrink up. So if you do graduation or anything, like on wet hair where you're pulling that curl and pulling the pattern out of the curl, you have to anticipate that it's going to shrink, So sometimes I will work on curly hair mostly in its natural curl. I'm just curious how many people were watching. Okay, so here we go. We're going to do the other side. But you can see this graduation, right? We want to have clean graduation. You can literally see it building up like architecture. When dogs do graduation, this is terrible. What am I even doing? It's called barkitecture. That's not good. I'm sorry.
Not good.
I'm sorry. A friend of mine and I, we once wanted to create a doghouse company called Barkitecture. And that's why it was in my mind.
That's amazing.
But then we realized we didn't know how to make dog houses. Okay, so here we go. On the other side, we're going to do vertical sections again. On this side, I think I am going to just lower this, and I'm going to use opposite finger position, but still vertical. So I'm going to angle this a little bit. Vertical sections.
Does it make a difference if you take a slight diagonal forward instead of a vertical?
It will, because the angle will follow the diagonal section that you're taking a little bit. But most of the angle that we're getting here is from our over direction. But you could do this with diagonal forward sections, but your shape will change slightly. Doing it vertically is going to give us, generally what I feel is a little bit of a leaner graduation. And a lot of times it's an easier way to do graduation. We worked horizontal graduation recently in a protege training with one of our teammates, Theo. You can see that on my page, just a couple of posts back if you want to see what that looks like. So again, we're just bringing this all straight back, straight to the wall. I got to pick up my guides here.
Ben would like to know if you've ever done this cut on a dog.
I've done it on 2 Pomeranians and 1 poodle. And, I'll tell you, the poodles, they don't tip. They're bad tippers. They're historically bad tippers. I mean, you can't get mad at me for saying something that's true. I know I'm lumping poodles into a group, but they're bad tippers. Okay, so vertical sections there. Another vertical, just like that. And now, you see how the head starts to round out there? I'm just thinking, I need to pull this straight back. So if this all came back to make like a flat section like that, like that's what we're trying to do. So, pulling back, I'm gonna find my 45-degree angle, so I'm coming out, find 45. Now, see how it's hard to get in right now because of the neck? I can take a flat position like that instead, and then it's much easier for me to cut that line, which is why we hold our scissors that way. And all we do is instead of cutting like this, we're going to turn our scissor like that. And that way I can have a little more space there by the shoulder to cut. And we're getting really, you can see the consistency in it, right? Like you want to be able to follow that line down and through. So another vertical section. Over direct. Graduation is a skill you do not want to lose. Just because you're not getting asked for a lot of graduated bobs right now does not mean you do not want to practice cutting graduation. You definitely want to be practicing graduated haircuts. Everything is cyclical. We will be doing stacked bobs again. Just, when is the real question. We're a little long there. We're going to tighten that up. Looking for my guides. Very nice. Connect. And notice that I comb every section out. Like a lot of times people go like this. And then you have no idea what's going on. But I'm like literally combing this because I'm looking for like a very specific shape, And if I don't see it, then I need to change something. Let's cross-check this side. I think we got a little extra weight here. Oh, so literally you can see the check there. So 45 degrees coming out. You see this little skip? From right there, I'm a little bit shorter. Right there, I'm a little bit longer. So that means that I overdirected too far. So I'm going to come and in my cross check, I'm just going to clean that up a teeny bit, and now we're a little bit more even. And I could feel that once I combed it out, or rather I could see it. All right, so another vertical.
How long have you been a stylist?
I've been doing hair for like 14 years.
Forever.
Yeah, a long time. I am 33, and I was 18 when I went to hair school. I was just about to turn 19, though, so it was like pretty close to being 19. Find my angles, 45 degrees. We're still building.
Ben B says, looks great.
Oh, Ben Brown?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. He's watching.
Don't look at me.
Yeah. If you guys don't follow Ben Brown, if you don't have the Ben Brown Haircutting Bible, you need to get it because you are wasting your life without it. And you need to join his website as well. I'm talking about ours, $15 a month. His is in some kind of weird money called pounds. I'm not exactly sure where that is or what that is. I don't know why they're weighing their money. And that's how the value is how much weight there is. It's like 10 pounds is worth more than something that has less weight.
He said it's awesome, mate.
What are you, Australian too? No, I'm just kidding. I know.
Brits say that, right?
I know they say that.
They.
The colonizer. Okay, so over direction here is still square back. So I'm literally just hooking this up over the ear to save a little bit of it. And then find my angles. And then I can't get in, right? So I'm going to come. Ben calls this an Eastern grip. I don't know why he calls it that. Ben, why do you call it an Eastern grip? Tell us. Then I'm going to comb this out again. And I'm just looking for that consistency. And then if anything is too heavy, you know, I kind of think maybe a spot right here. Well, no. That would be all right. So let's look at our shape from the back again. We've got this nice, like very balanced, like graduated line. You see this curve here? But actually, I do think it is too heavy. Like right there. It's too heavy right there. You see how you can see that line right there a little bit more? Too heavy. So, I have a saying. I say when you see weight that you don't want, you see weight, elevate and look for a corner. Because it means that my angle was too sharp, so the elevation was too low. So what I'm going to do is take this up. I'm going to look at the very top because that's where the weight is. Ah, see? From there to there, my angle is just a little too sharp. I'm going to take that off. We'll do one more.
He says the Eastern grip. I have no idea why it's called that.
You son of a bitch. He made that up. All right, so I'm taking a little bit of that top corner off, and then I'm going to comb it out and recheck it. And oh, look at that. Right away, we can start to see that weight line disappearing. We still want to see like a change in shape, but I don't want to see too heavy of a weight line there.
Would you cut this on thin hair?
Totally. I mean, graduation builds weight. It makes things look heavier and more full. So I think it's a great technique for texture that is a little thinner. But, you know, it's just all about what are you trying to do? Like, why are you cutting this graduation? So we're going to quickly blow dry this.
Someone wants to know, they just joined in, why is the top sectioned out?
Oh, we're going to do something different with the top. So we cut graduation with scissors underneath, using vertical graduation underneath, and then we're going to use a razor on the top just for fun, just because we want to, you know? Who said you have to use one tool? Not me. So what we're going to do now is blow dry the underneath so I can refine it, and then we'll do the top. Blow drying, not that much fun to watch, but we can talk about flat wrapping, which essentially means that I'm going to start on one side, I'm going to push everything one direction, and I'll come back and do it the other way. Sort of side to side and down, so that I get a nice like contour to the shape of the head here. So start on this side. We're going to try to keep it loose. I'm sure we'll lose a few viewers. We might lose a few viewers right now because I'm blow drying. But if you stick around, you'll be able to see some razor work on the top, or come back in like a minute or two. You know, I'll be back. So brushing this forward, everything in this direction. We could do a little leafing. We wanted to start pulling a little bit of that out. I'm using a random brush.
What do you do if you mess up a haircut this short?
Go shorter. I would say, I would always am very honest with my clients if I think something has gone wrong. If that's like the question. You know, it's like I will talk to them, like, you see how this is going on? Or like, what's going on here? We're going to have to do this to adjust it. But it's like practice, and you won't have as many mess ups. So I'll continue to push everything in one direction here. One Direction, coincidentally, Ben's favorite band. Outside of Nirvana. Not really. He likes them though. So I'm working one side all the way around to the other.
Would you advise that your clients tilt their head when you're cutting the sides of this haircut?
You can have them tilt their head if you need more room. If you feel like you need more room, you can always adjust their head to give you room to work. But always be aware of how tilting the head changes the angle. All right, and we're coming back the other way. Now we're going to work this direction instead. Got a few pieces from the top that are coming down. That's okay.
Who cuts your hair?
Ben cuts my hair. Chelsea cuts my hair. Kate cuts my hair. I mean, whoever is available when I want a haircut. That works at our salon. So we're working back the other direction now. Cool. And then we'll maybe just do a little bit of like beveling. Hopefully I want to keep it pretty loose. I'm not trying to get too close.
What kind of blow dryer is that?
This is a Babyliss dryer. Well, I should have gotten an iron, that's okay.
If you were doing this on somebody who has really long hair initially, would you establish the length first?
I might get rid of some of the excess length, but I still wouldn't have cut like a very specific perimeter. But I might have just like cut some ponytails off or something.
Do you ever point cut a graduated cut?
Totally. We're about to, probably.
Do you have any tricks for a really thick sideburn area looking too heavy?
Take weight out of it. I mean, I don't know if I have any tricks, but really it's like part of what we're doing is distributing weight, you know? So if an area looks heavy, we gotta reduce the weight in that area. So we gotta feel these long bits that have come down. Let's try and get these out of here. I wish I had an iron.
Would you like me to go get one?
Well,
I can post this up.
yeah, I'll hold this and go selfie mode for a minute. Yo. So we're getting I'm just gonna check my own hair for a little bit. We're getting an iron because I want to smooth this to do the refinement, just because it's got a little bit of movement to it still. I rate that blow dryer like an 8, 7, 8. It's very, blows hard. It is warm, but not crazy too hot. It doesn't burn anybody. Maybe it's a little heavy, you know? But I do really love that blow dryer a lot. I would love to come to Brazil and teach. We'll definitely have to make that happen at some point. Right now, we're in the glorious United States of America. You can see right there, this flag. Yeah, my hair is finally getting long. I'm like feeling like I have long hair again, which is great. I feel more like myself. So we're gonna switch back now so we can continue refining this graduated bob. If you're just joining us, we got a nice little graduated bob. Ooh, maybe we'll use a clipper just for fun. So I'm not gonna over iron this. I'm just gonna like put in a little bit of polish in some of these top areas here. You can see that, you know, our shape is there. Even without ironing and refining, it's like the shape is really there, and that's exactly what you want to see. But some of these areas I have a little wave or something, because I just don't feel like blow drying for that long. You know? It's gonna take too long. I don't need to watch me blow dry for like 20 years. So, I like to iron on a diagonal most of the time. You can see we have diagonal sections here, and I'm just coming down with a little bit of bevel, not too much though. Diagonal section here.
Textured bob is especially popular in Russia at the moment, so thank you.
That's all that the Kremlin will allow, I hear. If you don't, that's an affront to Putin. I'm just kidding.
How long does it normally take you to do this haircut?
I book all my haircuts for an hour in the salon.
What is this iron?
I don't know.
This is Leah's.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I like a Varus. V-A-R-I-S, Varus.
Someone said, what the heck is going on?
We are cutting a graduated bob, and we're going to we worked scissors on the side, and now we're going to work clipper refinement for fun, and then we're going to work a razor through the top for fun as well. So, if you're just tuning in, we've just cut our internal shape, and we're going to start to work our outline now. And I thought it could be fun to work the outline with a clipper just because, anything goes. You know what Ben always says? You guys saw Ben on there earlier, if you've been watching for a minute. He always says there's no absolutes in haircutting. I mean, someone will tell you that something is wrong, and I would suggest that you immediately go do whatever they said was wrong. You go do it. And see what it does. See if you like it. Is it wrong, or are they just different than you?
When you book a haircut, is the blow dry included?
Yeah, I do complimentary blow dry, but let's say that a client's like, oh, I don't want you to blow dry it, I can leave wet, or if I cut it dry, then it's the same price. I don't change the price based on if I blow dry or not. All right, so we've got our graduation. I can see that, again, we're maybe still a little bit heavy here through the side. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pick this area up that looks a little bit heavy.
Will you be at IBS in New York?
No, I won't. Specifically because I think it has an unfortunate name. It sounds like irritable bowel syndrome at the hair show. I'm just kidding. That's not why. I just am not on the. I don't know who runs that show. They haven't asked us to do it, and I've never done it before. So there's a little bit of wave under here I want to get.
How would you work a bang into this cut?
Well, you could just take a triangle shape section through the front in whatever weight. Really, it doesn't have to be a triangle shape, but you want to segment out the weight you want for the fringe and then cut the shape you want into it. Which it kind of has a bang on it right now. So I'm just checking those lines, cleaning them up a little bit. You can see the shape we cut in is all there, but it was just a teeny bit heavy, so I'm just elevating it a little bit more. And then why don't we also just break it up, point through it. I think my mentor, Wayne, would prefer that I don't point it, but he's not even here. Maybe
Wayne.
I'm waiting in the corner right here too, so I'm going to comb through that and just look for why there's weight there. I can see a little teeny bit of something. And I'm going to come and clean that up. And then comb it out and see if I'm getting a little bit more of what I want. So scissor over comb can be used even in a long situation like this. It doesn't have to always be on very short, tight shapes. I can use it now to refine the graduation I just cut. And then maybe we'll still just point through this just a teeny bit to diffuse that line some. We'll do the same thing over here. So we'll pick this up. We'll look for the line.
Do you charge any differently for short and long haircuts?
I don't. I have a flat rate for haircuts. I don't charge differently. We have gender neutral pricing. We don't think it is a good thing to charge based on someone's gender identity. So we only charge a flat rate for cuts. But it balances out. People are like, well, what if a cut takes longer? I'm like, sure, but sometimes a cut takes me no time, and they're still paying the same price. So I would say that it basically balances itself out. I never have any issues with I'm not making enough money because all these haircuts are taking way too long, give yourself enough time. Decide how much money you want to make in a day, what your goals are, and see what your days look like. What do you want your days to look like? And then average your pricing based on what your goals are, So I want to be able to do 5 haircuts in a day, and I want to have $1,000 total. So my haircuts are $200, and I would love to be able to only work for 5 hours, so I do an hour haircut. Now, I run a salon, and I run 3 other businesses, and I'm a brand ambassador for Goldwell, so I work 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. But that's totally fine as well. That makes me happy to do that. I'm a workaholic, so we're getting a little bit of static, so let's just chill out on that for a minute. But I think we've got some good, clean graduation going on there. You could leave this as kind of an A-line bob right there, but you know what I want to do? I want to have this disconnect a little more. So I'm going to actually use a clipper now like a maniac and cut the perimeter with a clipper. Because it's just fun, right? This is not the right way, it's not the wrong way, it's just a way to do it, and it is fun to do.
Someone wants to know if this is human hair.
It is completely human. It's mannequin hair, but it is human hair. So I'm gonna come in now. Maybe we'll show from over here. Like show this angle. I can actually refine the bob and then come in and create the line where I want it. Come over. But hold my client's head still. Very, very lightly brush over that and then come down and create my line. Try to just follow the shape that I made, refine any little weird little wavy spots or flyaways, and then dial that line right in. Just for fun, you know? To me, it's another who says moment. They're like, you can't cut a bob with a clipper. And I'm like, well, we didn't cut the whole thing with a clipper, but we can. And we can also refine a bob with a clipper for entertainment purposes. So let's
Any tips for staticky hair?
I've seen dryer sheets do really great, but really I would say product. Like if you're using good wet to dry products, then you're not going to get as much static. Today it's very cold in this room, and I didn't use any product because I'm just like, you know, working in the moment. Yeah, I think that's really nice and clean. Graduation, looking beautiful. Come to this side. We're getting this Karen right now. Again, I'm gonna come and I kind of like dust over the little flyaways while I'm like tapering, knocking that in. You could do all this with a scissor. That's totally fine as well. You could do it with an edger. Probably would be better to do with an edger, to be honest, because it is smaller, so you can work little smaller areas a little easier. With the clipper, you're sort of dedicating a good amount of space to being cut right away. And then we're gonna come to the side, and I have squared the other side off a little bit, so let's do that same thing. So we're gonna reduce the weight, and then come in and...
What clippers are these?
This is Babyliss Custom FX. So check this out. What we did, our barber, Chris, has made the Ninja Turtles right here. So you get this like killer Ninja Turtles vibe. I don't know their names, but you might. And then let's do this. So we're gonna come like this, and then, hey. Now, I don't really do that on a person in the salon very much because I think, again, it cuts a lot of hair very fast, and I would rather go slow and steady. But I think it can be fun, and you know, what are we supposed to do? Not have any fun? I'm the one working. I'm gonna enjoy what I'm doing. Okay, cool. We could even, you know, run over this with, does he have it? Yeah.
Tawana wants to know, how do you not know the Ninja Turtles?
I mean, I know their names, like Donatello, Leonardo, Michelangelo, Raphael. But I don't know which one is which. Like, you know? So, also, I have things to do, Tawana. The hell, why do you know? We could even go over this graduation with the texturizing scissor. This is our 14-tooth texturizing scissor here. It takes out about 20% of the weight.
Do we have more than one texturizing scissor?
Right now we only have one, but we probably will make others eventually. And then again, I'm just like, think of this as similar to a point cut. We're just dusting over the graduation to make it a little cleaner, like to have it a little more fluid, like soft flow to it.
Raphael is red, Michelangelo is orange.
Who said that?
Yes, Harbison. I'm so sorry, I just butchered your username.
But
Very
it's not Tawana.
kind, no. Tawana says she's disappointed in you.
Yeah, well, I think that she needs to get to work. Just kidding.
Where do you take your shears to be sharpened?
I have a sharpener that I use locally, someone that I really trust. His name's Steve. If you want his number, I will give it to you. He has given me permission to give out his number, and you can mail your scissors to him if you don't live here. If you do live here in Georgia, he can come to you. But he's great. I think it's good to have a local sharpener that you can trust. But if you also have our scissor, you could send it to Steve, or you could send it to Kenshi, which is our partner, our manufacturing partner, and they offer sharpening services. I mean, this is good enough. That's good, I think.
When you're using a clipper, do you put the teeth up or down?
I was putting them down for this particular thing. And now we're going to start working our top panel with a razor just for fun. We're going to work with a small amount of disconnection too.
Sharpener's name is Steve.
Steve. It's called Sharpology, I believe. That sound is good. Okay, so let's drop the top. And I think we already have a little bit of bangs here. You see? There's like something short going on here. But I thought it would be fun just to do the top layer with the razor. I think I initially was thinking that we would go shorter, but... Okay, so here we go. We're going to do the top layer with the razor just for fun. We're going to wet this top a little bit. Now, you could do the whole thing and then come back and refine the underneath, but I find it's easier while the top is still clipped up to do the refinement if I was going to do something like this. And we're going to layer the top now.
Someone said, looking buff.
Oh, thanks. I have been trying to look buff. I go a lot to the gym. I will go tonight. It's back and biceps tonight, bro. Is that my brother that said it? I feel like it's probably...
No.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to hold this out, like flat out, so we're actually layering it.
Are you using a guarded razor or unguarded?
Unguarded at the moment. You can see this is our razor, the fancy razor, and it comes with a guard. So whenever you first get it, if you want to practice with a guard, you totally can, or you can keep it on forever, doesn't matter. But I think it is nice to be able to work without the guard. So here's my guide underneath there. You see that? A bit of hair right there. And we're going to slide past that. And then come to this side, Emily, because I'm going to lift my right arm. So we're going to bring this out. I don't want to hold it too low. I want this to be like more layered. So I'm going to lift it up.
What are you trying to achieve with the razor?
Just a softer texture here through the top. And then I'm going to come in and knock out like that bit away. It also creates like, a little bit more, like you see these kind of corners that I can cut out? And come in and I'm cutting a little point. And it will just give me a little bit more of a soft connection from that top layer. Like sometimes with graduated bobs, I feel like when you connect it all the way through, it gets a little old school looking. So this can be a fun way to work in that top layer in a softer, like more modern kind of way. We're going to use the same over direction that we used underneath. So we're pulling this all back square to the wall, like that. I'm actually going to come in and I'm going to work like this to take a corner out. So come in, take a corner out, take a corner out. Now this razor, again, is sold out at the moment, but we will have more of them hopefully within a week or so. We're just waiting on the guards to show up, actually. Here on the side, we're just going to work this from the middle out, just because I don't want to take as much weight out of the side. Then we'll overdirect again, see if anything wants to reach. Good, it does reach, so we're going to come in, take the corner out.
Does that razor work for both lefties and righties?
Totally. No such thing as a left-handed razor. If someone tells you that it's a left or right-handed razor, they're trying to charge you more money for the same thing.
Would you do a razor cut on dry hair?
I don't like to cut dry hair with a razor, but I do see some people doing that, and it looks kind of cool when they do it. So I would say you can, but be very mindful that it doesn't damage the hair. So you can see it gives us a very soft connection.
Someone said my mother.
Huh?
Someone said my mother.
What about like they just said your mother?
The cut.
Oh, it looks like their mom.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we come to this side now.
How often do you change your razor blades?
I change my blade every single haircut that we do. So I'm coming up, and I'm gonna work some little corners out here.
What are you using for your guide for the top?
For the top, what I've done is I picked up the underneath there. You see that? That's the underneath section. I'm picking that up. I'm sliding just past it, so I'm kind of disconnecting from it a small amount, but I want that as a reference. And I'm making sure that I'm holding this up at 90 now and not down at 45 because I don't want to build too much more weight. I'm essentially just wanting to like visually and loosely connect to what's underneath. So pick this up, making sure I'm holding the elevation nice and high. My elbow comes up high, and then we're going to work these little corners. And I'm just over directing everything all the way back. So it's like the same as we did the graduation underneath. Over direct that all back. Elbow comes up. And I just start taking these little corners out. Then I'm connecting like these soft bits. It'll help the hair kind of group together and create a nice texture or like feeling in the hair.
When your razor is restocked, do you offer blades?
We don't sell the blades, but we do give you a link and a discount code that you can get blades from our good friends over at Steps Hair. That's who we partner with to make the razor. One of my mentors, I would say, his name's Steven Adams, and another buddy of ours, Travis. They made this company called Steps. A lot of great tools over there, and you can get really, really affordable blades using our discount code that you receive when you purchase the razor. Normally, a pack of razors is like $20, but once you get our razor, you can get them for, it's like $12 from Steps with our code. But you gotta buy the razor to get the code.
Do you throw the blades away or just switch them out?
We throw them away. I don't like keep all the used blades or anything. But you can see this little pack of razors is what you use. And once you take a blade out of the top, you can put it down here in the bottom, you know? So then eventually you just throw this whole thing away, and that way there's not like loose sharps all over the salon. Chris used to have like a jar of used razors in here somewhere. That is like let's call it like an art piece, really.
That's scary.
Yeah, I can't go that way, you know? So yeah, we just loosely connected the top.
Why did you turn your side sections horizontal?
So that I could over-direct them and lift them up even higher so that I get this little bit of a drop, an extra, you see this like little flickiness? I've got this extra little bit of length there now that hangs over because I took this and lifted it all the way up to there. Think of it as like a little extra over-direction, a little extra elevation. And now what I can do is I can style this mostly with my fingers, I bet. I'm just rough drying it right now. So you can see that kind of loose connection, and it layers the top of the bob a little.
Does using a razor cause split ends?
Only if you don't know how to use it. It can. If the razor's too dull, or if your pressure is too much, if your angle is wrong, or if the hair is too dry. It can cause split ends. But I'll use a razor on almost any texture.
What's the difference between this razor and a razor with teeth?
Well, the guard, a razor with a guard on it, think of it almost like the difference between a scissor and a texturizing scissor. The teeth kind of make decisions for you. They push the hair into the area with the teeth, and it creates a more particular texture. But at the same time, it also will protect your hand if you're new. I always suggest starting with a razor with a guard. And you can do some really, really awesome, cool, beautiful haircuts with a guarded razor. You know, I don't want to put the guarded razor down. It's just that you can do maybe a little bit more with a guardless razor when you have the training and dexterity to use it.
Why are you twisting the hair?
I'm just trying to create a little bit of movement in the top where we've cut out some sections. So it'll just make kind of a more undone feeling, and it'll feel a little more natural, like not as iron, you know? And anytime that I can style something with just my fingers, I like to do that.
Someone said, do you typically rough dry this way or with a paddle brush?
I rough dry as often as I can with just my hands. The less tools, the better, I say. But, like you can see when I did that more precise graduation underneath, I did use a paddle brush because I wanted to have a little more control over the hair. But some textures, I might not do that. I might just use my fingers. Just giving this a little twisty poo. We have a beautiful sunset happening outside. So the goal was graduation, like strength and texture. So we want a graduation underneath with layers on the top and movement on the top. I think that's what we got. And a little disconnection. And again, we have no product right now in the hair, nothing. It's just this doll. Sometimes I'll even come and I'll like start to, you know, put some little bucklings into the hair. Which really I learned from like watching like Tony and Guy videos back in the day. And from watching Kristen S. You know who she is.
She has a line in Target.
Oh yeah. She's like made it in a real way. I don't know her at all, but I am proud of her. Let's go this way. Melt the bangs. And we can just curve them out with the dryer a little. Pretty fun.
Someone said, how did you end up with the fringe?
Oh, it was already there.
Sorry about it.
The bangs were there when I started. But if you wanted to do these, I would take a section, a diagonal section like this, like that, and then I would cut short to long from the center out. And you can do that like with all sorts of reference points. Like you could use the bridge of the nose, you could use the lip, you could use the jawline, you could use the eyebrows, you know. Whatever you decide you want to do. So cool, we got a combination now of strength and texture. So we've got softness to the top, and then we've got, you know, more defined graduation on the underneath. Maybe not something you'll always do in the salon, but you totally could, and I think that's what makes it fun.
She's not a regular mom, she's a cool mom.
Is that someone said? Or are you saying?
That's me. Have you seen Mean Girls?